Edinburgh in 1707 was one of the most crowded cities in Europe. Over 50,000 people squeezed into a space smaller than most modern neighborhoods. Buildings climbed 14 stories high because there was simply nowhere else to go. And the smell? People said you could detect Edinburgh from 15 miles away on a windy day. This is what it was actually like to survive in the city they called Old Ricky. Now, if you're lying there, comfortable and warm, maybe settling in for the night, and you enjoy stories like this one, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is. I genuinely love reading them. And if you haven't already, a subscription would mean a lot. It helps more than you know. But forget all of that for now. Imagine waking up in 1745 Edinburgh. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will be fine. Your eyes open. The ceiling above is low, dark with years of smoke, grease, and things you'd rather not identify. A thin gray light filters through a window no bigger than your hand, obscured by rags stuffed into the cracks where glass should be. Your name is Jamie. You're 16, an apprentice to a wig maker on the high street. The first thing that hits you is the cold. Not the crisp cold of a winter morning in the countryside, but a damp, penetrating cold that seeps into your bones. The blanket covering you, a rough piece of wool, carries the scent of everyone who slept under it before you. You share this room with 3 other apprentices, sleeping on pallets stuffed with straw that hasn't been changed in months. You've learned to check for vermin before settling in each night. Not that it helps much. The second thing you notice is the smell. Years here have trained your nose to tolerate it, but you notice it anyway. Smoke from thousands of fires, unwashed bodies, and beneath it all, waste. There's no plumbing, no toilets. The chamber pot under your pallet is shared among 4 apprentices and gets emptied once a day, if you're lucky. At night, contents fly from windows onto the streets below. Anyone unlucky enough to be standing there might shout, "Hold your hand!" Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But for now, you think about getting up without waking the others. About the long day ahead. About your empty stomach, still hungry from yesterday's thin oatmeal porridge. You swing your legs off the pallet. The floor is cold underfoot. Your shoes sit at the foot of your bed. You pull them on quickly. The other apprentices stir. Malcolm, the eldest at 19, grunts and pulls his blanket tighter. Duncan, about your age, coughs, getting worse over the past month. You try not to think about it. Your room is on the 5th floor of a tenement. Below you, 4 floors of humanity. Above, 9 more. A single building might house 200 people. Merchants and lawyers occupy the middle floors. Poor folk like you live high up where rent is cheap, but the climb is murder. At the very bottom, spaces that never see sunlight hold the poorest. You make your way to the door, onto a narrow stone staircase spiraling down. The worn steps are slick with moisture and other things you'd rather not examine. You pass rooms with crying babies shouting couples, the smell growing thicker with every floor. At the street, the high street stretches out, wider than any other in the old town. It's alive with early morning chaos. Merchants open shops. Fishwives shout their wares. Water carriers balance heavy buckets. Sedan chairs, the taxes of 18th century Edinburgh, squeeze through the crowds. The castle looms above, 300 feet on volcanic rock, the Union flag flying, a reminder that since 1707, Scotland has been united with England under one parliament. Politics, though, is a luxury you can't afford this morning. Your master, Mr. Crawford, a compact man in his 50s with quick hands and a quicker temper, is already in the shop. Late, he says. No excuse. 3 orders are due today. You tie on your apron and take your place at the preparation bench. Your job as the youngest apprentice is the lowest work, preparing horsehair, cleaning forms, mixing powder. The actual wig making is only beginning. 7 years of apprenticeship, unpaid labor, food and lodging provided, in exchange for a trade. The morning passes in the rhythm of labor. Hair is combed, powder mixed. Customers come and go. You run errands, deliver wigs to advocates, navigate the grass market where public executions once drew crowds, and climb back to the shop. Life is survival. That's the word. Not heroics. Not glory. Survival. Weeks pass. Seasons change. Snow melts. Birds return. The smell of the city shifts, not better, but different. Ordinary begins to return. Friends recover. Work continues. The city rebuilds itself, block by block, street by street. A letter arrives one April afternoon. In your hands, the handwriting is familiar. Agnes. Alive. Safe. Words you've imagined for years are real. Summer comes. You turn 18. Nobody celebrates, yet small gestures, a scrap of ribbon, a bit of ale, matter. Halfway through your apprenticeship, the work continues. You climb to the top of the tenement, looking out over Edinburgh, the castle, the spires, the dense assembly of stone and slate. Wars, plagues, rebellions, they pass. The city endures. You bend over your workbench. The craft has become your own. A wig, a carefully made creation, a small triumph. Life moves forward. Friends beside you, masters nodding in quiet approval, apprentices learning. The city breathes around you. You breathe with it. Night falls. Candles flicker in windows. Voices drift from the streets. You lie on your pallet, the straw recently replaced, the blanket thin but warm. Agnes's letter is folded against your chest. You hope for happiness, for peace, for a better tomorrow. Outside, the stars wheel slowly overhead. Edinburgh sleeps beneath them. And in a tenement on the high street, a wig-maker's apprentice closes his eyes. Tomorrow will come. It always does. Tonight, There's only this. The quiet, the darkness, the steady rhythm of being alive, of surviving, of enduring. You climb the stairs to your room. Duncan is already asleep, his coughing quieter now. The third apprentice, a boy named William who rarely speaks, is reading by candlelight. That candle must have cost him months of careful saving. You strip off your outer clothes and crawl onto your pallet. The straw crunches beneath you. The blanket smells the same as always, but something feels different tonight. Maybe it's what Malcolm said. Maybe it's the soldier in the tavern. Maybe it's just the ale settling your tired brain. But as you lie there in the dark, listening to the city around you, you feel like you're waiting for something. Like the whole city is waiting. Outside your window, Edinburgh breathes. It shifts and dreams its old dreams. The castle looms on its ancient crag, holding its garrison of redcoats, its stores of weapons, its centuries of history. And somewhere far away, across the water, a young prince is making plans. You close your eyes. Sleep comes eventually, bringing dreams of fire, music, and streets you don't recognize, filled with people you've never seen. Sunday arrives, as always, with bells. The trunk starts it, then St. Giles, and every other church joins until Edinburgh is drowned in sound, calling the faithful to worship. You cannot ignore them. In Scotland, the kirk is everything. The Church of Scotland runs the country in ways London never could. Ministers track attendance. Elders visit homes to check families' devotion. Miss too many services, and you'll answer questions about your faith before the entire congregation. This is how order is kept, not just with soldiers and magistrates, but with neighbors' watchful eyes, reporting sins, adultery, drunkenness, working on the Sabbath, or speaking ill of the minister. All of it is noted. All of it is punished. You roll off your pallet. Something is wrong. Duncan isn't moving. He's curled under his blanket, breathing like someone dragging stones across gravel. Hey! You shake him. Duncan, wake up! His eyes open, glassy, unfocused. His forehead burns under your touch. Can't, he croaks. Can't get up. Malcolm is already dressed. He leans over Duncan with an expression that could be concern, or something else entirely. Needs a doctor? You ask. Malcolm laughs, a sound without warmth. With what money? Apprentices aren't paid. Food and lodging are payment enough. If Duncan needs a doctor, Mr. Crawford would have to pay. And Mr. Crawford is not known for generosity towards sick apprentices. Stay with him, Malcolm says. I'll tell the master. Then he leaves. You sit by Duncan's pallet, watching him struggle with each breath. His chest rattles with every exhale. You've seen this before, back on the farm, when a neighbor's son fell sick. A cough turned deadly. 3 weeks later, they buried him. Duncan, you whisper. His eyes flutter open. Told you, he murmurs. Told you this city would kill me. He said it when he first arrived, a year ago. He'd longed for the countryside, complained about the close being like a tomb pressing in from all sides. You thought him dramatic. Maybe he wasn't. Mr. Crawford appears in the doorway, dressed for church, his wig freshly powdered. Mistress Crawford peers behind him, her face twisted in distaste. "How bad?" Mr. Crawford asks. "Bad? You say. He needs help." Mr. Crawford sighs, the sound of a man asked to spend money he doesn't want to. "I'll send for the apothecary," he says finally. "After church, stay here with him. Give him water if he'll take it." And then he's gone, off to sit in his pew and pretend he's a good Christian. You are left alone with Duncan's rattling breath. The water is a problem. The room's pitcher is empty. The well is 7 flights of stairs down. You leave Duncan wrapped in his blanket and descend the spiral staircase. The building is quiet, everyone at church or pretending. Someone still has to fetch water. Empty chamber pots. Feed animals. Life doesn't pause for Sunday. At the well, sunlight falls through gaps between buildings, illuminating dust and floating debris. You lower the bucket, hear the splash, wait for it to fill, and haul it back up. Your arms are strong. Water is precious. Every drop counts. A young woman appears from a doorway, a bucket in hand. Dark hair pinned under a cap. Her servant's dress plain but clean. She sees you, nods. You nod back. "Your friend, the sick one. Is he any better?" she asks. Startled she knows, you reply. "Worse. My mistress has some herbs for fever. I can bring some if you want," she says. You hesitate. Charity isn't free in Edinburgh. Everything has a price. "Why would you do that?" She shrugs. "Because he's sick. Because it's Sunday. My mother died of the fever when I was small, and nobody helped her." Her tone is matter-of-fact, no self-pity, just truth. "What's your name?" "Agnes." Agnes Mloud. "I work for Mistress Douglas, 3rd floor. Jamie," you say. "Wigmaker's apprentice, 5th floor. I'll bring the herbs later, after my mistress sleeps," she says. Then she disappears, leaving you with a full pitcher of water and a strange feeling in your chest. You climb back up. Duncan is unconscious or asleep. You pour water into a cup. Some dribbles down his chin. Some goes in. That's something. The bells have stopped. The city is quiet. Everyone listening to sermons on hellfire, sin, salvation. Missing church is noted, punishable. But someone has to stay with Duncan. Surely that is a good excuse. Caring for the sick must be more Christian than sitting on a hard pew listening to a minister drone on. From the 5th floor window, you see across the rooftops. Edinburgh stretches east, spires punctuating the skyline. The castle dominates the west. Beyond the still waters of the North Loch, Arthur's Seat rises, wild and green, untouched by the city's filth and noise. You imagine climbing it, seeing the city from outside, breathing without tasting smoke. But that is fantasy. You have 5 more years of horsehair powder and Mr. Crawford's criticism. 5 more years of porridge, pallets, and endless stairs. If you survive that long, if the fever doesn't take you like it took Duncan, if footpads don't catch you, if 1,000 dangers don't end your story before it begins. The apothecary arrives in the late afternoon. Thin, spectacled, with a bag of mysterious bottles, he examines Duncan with boredom, takes his pulse, checks his tongue, asks about diet and sleeping conditions, foul smells, dead bodies. These questions mean something, though you don't understand how. Edinburgh has real doctors, learned men who studied Latin and Hippocrates, but they charge a year's rent. For you, there are apothecaries. They mix herbs, minerals, and animal parts into medicines, sometimes curing, sometimes not. Fever, he pronounces, prescribes a tincture that smells like rot, instructs warmth in broth. Will he live? You ask. God's will, he says, then leaves to collect his fee. That evening, Agnes appears again with a small cloth bundle. Inside are dried herbs, sharp and green. My grandmother's recipe, she says. Steep in hot water. Make him drink as much as he can. You take the bundle, fingers brushing hers briefly. Thank you. He would have done the same for me, she says, if situations were reversed. You're not sure anyone would. You don't say it. I heard something today from a caddy about the prince, about ships gathering. Her expression tightens. People hear lots of things, but you've heard it too, haven't you? You press. She doesn't answer directly. Instead, she glances up the stairwell, cautious. My mistress has a brother in France, she says quietly. He writes sometimes, letters I burn after reading. And he says it's... Spectacles, a blow lands across his face. Terror in his eyes. The Jacobites, he shouts. They've beaten the army. They're coming. The government sent troops north to stop the prince, General Cope. They called him Sir John Cope. He was meant to crush the rebellion before it could spread. Trained soldiers, regular infantry, artillery, cavalry, everything the ragtag Highland army lacked. But something went wrong. Later, you'll hear the details. A battle at Prestapans, just a few miles east of Edinburgh. The Highland charge, terrifying and unstoppable. Government troops breaking and running after barely 10 minutes of fighting. Cope himself fleeing on horseback, the army dissolving behind him. But for now, all you know is panic. The prince's army is near. The defenders who should protect Edinburgh scattered like leaves in a storm. Everything you thought you knew about the world turned upside down in a single morning. Go inside, Mr. Crawford says. His voice is calm. Too calm. Bar the door. What about you? You ask. I need to go to the guild hall. Decisions will be made, plans drawn. He grabs his coat and wig and vanishes into the chaos, leaving you at the doorway. You should go inside, bar the door, hide, wait. Instead, you step onto the high street. The flow of people has found direction. Most are heading to the castle, the safest place in Edinburgh. Those walls have stood for centuries. Those gates have held against siege after siege. But the castle cannot hold everyone. There are 50,000 people in this city, the garrison barely a few thousand. The rest must take their chances. You push against the flow, heading downhill toward the Cannon Gate, toward Hollywood Palace, where Scotland's kings once held court, toward wherever Agnes is. The crowd's thin. People here are running. They stand in doorways, watching, waiting. Some smile. Not everyone in Edinburgh is loyal to King George. You find Agnes on the third-floor landing, exactly where you hoped. She is calm, calmer than you. Her mistress wails somewhere in the apartment, hysteria over invasion, murder, and the end of civilization. But Agnes looks out the window, expression unreadable. They won, she says when she sees you. The prince? Prestipans? I heard from a footman who came running from the high street. The government army is destroyed. General Cope is fleeing. The prince is coming here. What happens now? She turns to you. Dark eyes meet yours. Now we see what kind of city this is. Through the window, smoke rises in the east. Bells fade to distant clamor. The sun sets behind the castle, painting the sky in red and orange. The city seems aflame. It is not the end, but the beginning. Edinburgh is trapped between its medieval past and something new. Something no one asked for, but all must live with. The prince is coming. Edinburgh will never be the same. The Highlanders arrive at dawn. You're awake. Haven't slept much. The city has held its breath since Prestipans. You watch from your fifth-floor window as a column of men moves down the Cannon Gate from the east. Not soldiers as you know them. No neat red coats. No polished boots. No drums. They wear kilts and plaids, green, blue, red, patterns from clans, from the Highlands, a wild country where old ways endure. Swords at their hips, claymores, axes, muskets, round shields studded with metal. One man, taller than the rest, carries a pole with a curved blade, a locker bear axe, good for pulling men off horses. They flow like water downhill. No formation, no marching in step, no drums. Just a stream of men, weathered, travel-stained, some barefoot, and they sing. Not a marching song, but something older in Gaelic, the language of the mountains. Sadness and defiance mixed in melody. Duncan joins you at the window. He's recovered well, still tires quickly. Jesus, he says quietly. You say nothing. There's nothing to say. The Netherbow port stands open, the eastern boundary of Edinburgh. Someone opened it in the night, loyal to the prince or practical. Either way, the city is theirs. Within an hour, the Highland army spreads through Edinburgh like spilled wine, encloses and wins on the high street, in the grass market. Groups talk in Gaelic, while locals watch from doorways with fear, hope, or calculation. Commerce adapts. Mr. Crawford keeps the shop closed the first day, watching. "Will they loot?" you ask. He shakes his head. "The prince wants to be king. Kings don't." He's right. The Highlanders are disciplined. Rough, yes. Intimidating, yes. But they pay for what they take. They don't force entry. They don't harm those who give no reason. That first night, the prince himself enters Edinburgh. You don't see it. It's dark, streets unsafe. But everyone hears. Charles Edward Stuart rides through the Netherbow port on a white horse, tartan coat, blue bonnet with white cockade, smiling, waving. Some cheer, some weep, some stare. Holywood Palace becomes headquarters, the old home of Scottish kings now alive again. The castle still holds. Union flag flies from the tower. Soldiers man the walls, firing cannons now and then, reminders they are still present. Highlanders ignore them, sometimes laugh, sometimes gesture. Routine. The cannon fire becomes background. Life continues. The courts don't sit. Judges fled. Advocates vanished. City guard gone. Old systems fail, but new systems rise. Jacobite officers patrol, maintain order. Churches still hold services, preaching carefully neutral sermons. Shops and markets continue. Food, clothes, trade. Only difference. Some customers wear kilts, speak Gaelic, pay with French gold. Some things don't change even when all changes. A week into the occupation, Agnes finds you on the third-floor landing. Sunset silhouettes the castle against orange sky. "Have you seen him?" she asks. "The prince?" "No. But I've heard things." "What things?" "Young, handsome, dances at Hollywood every night, speaks with a strange accent, drinks too much, believes God is on his side." Agnes smiles faintly. "Everything's rumors now. Nobody knows truth from lies. Malcolm's with him. Someone saw him in the street. Healthy, happy, determined." You reflect on Malcolm, on nights in the tavern, on morning departures, on choices made. You say, "We all make choices. The question is whether we live or die with them." Days blur. You work, eat, sleep fitfully. You steal moments with Agnes. Watch Highlanders. The prince gathers clans. Plans march south to London. Stories, rumors, impossible to know. Occupation teaches normalcy and uncertainty. One afternoon in early October, you finally see him. Errand for Mr. Crawford. Deliver a wig to a minor noble near Cannon Gate. Streets are busier. cheering. Procession arrives. Horsemen first, then footmen, flags, coach. The prince rides at the head. Gray horse, tartan coat, white shirt, blue bonnet with white cockade. Smiling, waving, confident, handsome. Eyes blue as winter sky. His gaze sweeps across the crowd, lands on you. The roar fades. For a heartbeat, it's only you and him, separated by cobblestones and destiny. You deliver the wig, collect payment. Streets quiet again. Occupation normal. Castle still holds. Union flag snaps in wind. Government soldiers watch. Life continues under two flags, two armies, one city. Winter comes early. First snow falls in November, dusting streets, freezing gutters, turning cobblestones to ice. Layers of clothing aren't enough. Nights huddle with Duncan, body heat the only warmth. Food harder, meat scarce, broth thin. Shop sees fewer customers. Time stretches. Think, watch snow, wonder about Malcolm, the army, London. Time to see Agnes. She visits quietly, leaving messages, bringing herbs for Duncan. You meet on the third floor landing, yours and hers. You talk, work, cold, food, life, silence. Sometimes no words, just presence. War discussed cautiously. Rumors abound, sorted into likely, unlikely, impossible. They're still marching, Agnes says. What if they win? Everything changes. Stewards return. Head over your ends leave. Different isn't always good or bad. And if they lose, everything stays the same or worse. Winners punish losers. Always has been. You listen, building settling around you. Life layered above, below, eternal sounds of living together. What do you want? Not to be afraid. To wake up without wondering if today everything falls apart. Possible? Probably not. But you asked what I want, not what's possible. December arrives. North Lock freezes. Children skate poorly, laughter echoing. Adults cross on foot, taking risks. Cold seeps through everything. Fingers stiff, breath fogs the air. Frost on windows, bucket skin of ice. News arrives. Army reached Derby, close to London, but turning back. Promised French support never arrived. English Jacobites didn't rise. Some gasp, swear. Woman cries. Man spits. Cowards. The story continues, uncertain, fragile, alive. You remain a wig maker's apprentice, caught in history's tide, watching, waiting, enduring. Someone's baby is crying 3 floors up. That thin, exhausted wail that means hunger or sickness or both. A man's voice shouts in anger somewhere below. Life continues around you, oblivious to what's ending right here, on this landing between two people who found each other amid chaos. Light from somewhere below catches Agnes's face. Her cheekbones are sharp under the skin, her eyes dark and deep. She's beautiful. Always has been. You just never had the words to say it. I don't want to go, she says. I know, she continues, but I have to. You understand that, right? If I stay, if they find my mistress's letters, her brother in France, the money she sent to support the cause. She stops. You understand. That's the worst part. You understand completely. Survival isn't about what you want. It's about what you must do, about making choices that hurt, because the alternative is worse. Agnes steps closer. Close enough for you to see the tears on her cheeks, the way they catch faint light. Close enough to smell the lavender she uses in her mistress's linens. Close enough that, if you reached out, you could touch her, hold her, pretend for a moment that nothing is ending. I'll come back, she says, when things settle, when it's safe. I'll come back to Edinburgh, and I'll find you. I'll look for the wig maker's shop on the high street, ask for the apprentice named Jamie, and I'll find you. You want to believe her. You try. You tell yourself that sometimes, against all odds, promises are kept, that the world isn't always cruel. I'll be here. Promise. I promise. And then she's kissing you. Quick, a moment barely long enough to exist. Her lips cold, tasting of salt from her tears. Her hand on your cheek, a ghost of a touch. Then she pulls back, wipes her eyes with her sleeve, tries to smile, almost manages it. Goodbye, Jamie. Goodbye, Agnes. She goes down the stairs. You watch her until she disappears into the darkness of the lower landing. Footsteps fade, one by one, each carrying her further away. Silence follows, only broken by the creaking of the old building settling into night. You climb to your room. Duncan is asleep. William reads his Bible as always. The candle flickers. Shadows dance on the walls. You lie on your pallet, pull a thin blanket over yourself, and stare at the smoke-stained, cracked ceiling. Somewhere, an army is being hunted. Men who fought for a cause they believed in run for their lives or lie dead in fields they'll never leave. A prince flees toward the sea. Dreams of glory dissolved into fear and exhaustion. Somewhere, a servant girl with dark eyes packs a few possessions for a journey to Stirling. You think about promises, what they mean, and whether one made on a tenement landing in a city that's been through hell can survive what comes next. You don't know, but you hold on anyway. Outside, rain falls soft and steady, washing blood and chaos down the gutters toward the sea. Edinburgh sleeps, or pretends to. A city that has seen too much, occupied, fought over, used as a pawn in games played by kings and princes. Come morning, when the sun rises over rooftops and the castle's shadow stretches across the old town, Agnes will be gone. But you'll still be here, making wigs, surviving. That's what people like you do. The candle burns to nothing. The room goes dark. Sleep comes slowly, but it comes. And in dreams, you see a landing on the third floor, a girl with dark eyes, A promise that may or may not mean something. Time will tell. The prisoners come in May. From the shop window, you see a long column of men shuffling up the high street, hands bound with rough rope, clothes torn and filthy from weeks of marching. Government soldiers flank them, muskets ready, bayonets fixed. Red coats bright against Edinburgh's grey stone. They look well-fed, rested, victorious, everything the prisoners are not. These are survivors. Those who didn't die at Culloden, cut down by artillery, bayoneted where they fell. Those captured afterward, hunted through glens and mountains, betrayed by neighbors, starved from hiding in caves. They no longer look like an army. They are ghosts. Some can barely walk, leaning on each other, stumbling over cobblestones you've walked 1,000 times. Bare feet leave bloody prints, toes blackened by frostbite, ankles swollen and raw. One man falls. A soldier kicks him to his feet. The column moves on. Eyes empty. Men who have died in every way that matters. Friends cut down beside them. Beaten, starved, marched for weeks. They know what awaits. Trial, execution, transportation to colonies to work as slaves until heat and labor kill them. Some prisoners are boys, younger than you, sent by fathers or clan chiefs, believing in something bigger. Now they shuffle toward death with the same blank expression as the old men beside them. The street gathers a crowd. Some jeer, some throw rotten vegetables, horse dung, blood-drawing stones. Words cut sharper than any weapon. Traitors, rebels, Highland savages. These are people who hid their sympathies during occupation, now ensuring everyone knows their loyalty. King George. Some stand silent, some weep openly. An old woman falls to her knees, praying aloud. Nobody stops her. Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're praying too. You watch until the last prisoner passes. A boy, maybe 14, bruised, one eye swollen shut, dragging his left leg. You wonder how long he can keep going before he falls and doesn't rise. Then he's gone around the corner toward the Tolbooth prison. You return to your work. What else can you do? Trials begin in June, in the old courthouse off the High Street. Advocates once argued over inheritance and debt here. Now it's full of men in chains, soldiers with weapons, judges in wigs dispensing the king's justice or vengeance. Sentences are harsh. Leaders hanged, drawn, quartered. Common soldiers transported to colonies. Shipped in holds fit barely for cattle. Sent to work on plantations until heat, labor, and disease kill them. Executions in London become spectacles for crowds. Others brought back to Edinburgh, to the grass market, gallows standing as they have for centuries. You hear it from the shop. Drums, roars, minister reading crimes, silence, trapdoor dropping, bodies swinging. Mr. Crawford works through it all, face unreadable, hands steady. You try to do the same. Sometimes the drums make you step away, breathe. The wall stares back, silent. Summer comes. Days stretch long. Executions continue week after week, body after body, until it becomes background noise. One July morning, a caddy comes, older, thinner. He speaks privately. Malcolm, the apprentice who left, is gone. Culloden, front ranks, prisoner tried, hanged last month. You cannot speak. Words fail. The caddy touches your shoulder. I'm sorry, lad. He seemed like a good one. Then he's gone. Back to the streets. You return to work. What else can you do? Laws hit hard. No tartans, kilts, plaids. Identity criminalized. Bagpipes banned. Songs banned. Clan chiefs lose power. Villages burned. Families driven from lands. Livestock slaughtered. Culture is annihilated. Malcolm's world erased. Weeks blur into months. Duncan recovers, working beside you. William finishes the Bible, starts again. Mr. Crawford says nothing, keeps the routine. Survival is keeping your head down, doing your work. A year passes since the Highlanders marched into the city, since you saw the prince on his gray horse. Agnes lingers in memory. Months pass with no word. Maybe she's alive, maybe gone. The promise, maybe just words. Not knowing is the worst part. Autumn rains come, rivers of mud, cold creeping into stone and bone. You're 17 now, still an apprentice, still at the mercy of the world, but different. You've learned survival is its own victory. Belief doesn't stop bullets. Promises made in darkness may not survive light. Waking up, putting one foot forward, doing necessary work, that's life going on, no matter what kings and princes do. Late November, you find yourself on the third floor landing, unsure why you came. Once you met Agnes here, whispered, "Kiss goodbye." The door to her mistress's apartment closed, new tenants in, unaware, uninterested. Agnes's voice gone. You are here. You've kept your half. Maybe she'll keep hers. Maybe not. Letting go sometimes is survival. You take a deep breath, let it out slowly, pick up your water bucket, keep climbing, 1 foot, 1 day at a time. First snow falls at November's end. Soft flakes drift past the stone facades, covering filth and chaos in cold beauty. Edinburgh seems peaceful, almost innocent, but you know better. You return to work, a wig for a judge, the one sentencing prisoners to death. Horsehair shaped, powder mixed, work that keeps you alive. Outside, snow falls. Inside, you work. Somewhere between memory and hope, you hold on to a thought of a girl with dark eyes, who might one day find her way back. It's not much, but it's all you have.